Hey everyone, and welcome to the deep dive. We're diving into HIP 136 today.
Oh, yeah.
This proposal is looking to shake things up
Yeah.
on the Helium Network by eliminating rewards for redundant coverage.
hmm
So we're going to break down what that means for the network and why it's causing so
Yeah.
much debate.
It's definitely a hot topic.
For sure, for sure.
Lots of buzz.
Yeah, so let's just start with the basics for anyone who might be new to this whole thing.
Okay.
The Helium Network uses something called proof of coverage,
Right.
or POC,
Mm-hmm.
to reward hotspot owners for providing wireless network coverage.
Yeah.
It's kind of a decentralized network of these mini cell towers powered by people like you and me.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about creating this wider, more reliable network.
Yeah.
Using these hotspots that people have in their homes or businesses.
Right.
And they can actually earn helium tokens.
Okay.
By proving they're providing coverage through this system of challenges and witnesses.
I see. Okay, so that's the basic setup. Where does this HIP 136 come in? What's the problem it's trying to solve?
So the current system has a flaw, I guess you could call it.
Okay.
It allows for what we're calling redundant coverage.
Right?
This basically means you can have multiple hotspots,
Right.
all really close together, like within 350 meters of each other,
Uh-huh.
and they're all witnessing the same signals and getting rewarded.
Oh, so it's kind of like
Yeah,
having 5 people deliver the same pizza to the same house.
exactly.
You really only need one, right?
They only need one. The other 4 are just
Yeah.
redundant.
Redundant and not really helping.
And not really helping. And actually, some people argue
Uh-huh.
that it's creating these inefficiencies
Okay.
and it's actually hindering the network's growth.
So instead of spreading out
Exactly.
and covering these new areas.
Yeah, you're incentivized to just cram as many hotspots as possible into
Yeah.
places that are already...
Proposing to fix this, how would it actually change things?
So the proposal is introducing what they're calling a first-to-witness system.
Okay.
It's almost like a race.
Interesting.
When a beacon signal goes out, only the first hotspot
Uh-huh.
in that crowded area to actually witness it will get the reward.
So it's not banning having multiple hotspots in one place.
Right.
It's just changing who gets rewarded
Exactly.
in those scenarios.
Yeah, and so if you know only the fastest hotspot wins,
Right?
you're going to think more strategically
Makes sense.
about where you place your device.
For sure.
It encourages people to seek out areas
Yeah.
where their hotspot can actually make the biggest impact,
Right.
rather than just clustering
Gotcha.
in these zones that are already really saturated.
So you're not penalized for having multiple hotspots.
Right.
But you are encouraged to spread them out
Exactly.
to kind of maximize their effectiveness and help the network grow.
That's the whole idea. And just to be clear,
Okay.
this first-to-witness rule only applies when there are more than 14 witnesses to a beacon.
Uh-huh.
If there are 14 or fewer,
Okay.
everyone still gets rewarded as usual.
Gotcha. So it's really targeting
Yeah.
those situations where there's just a ton of hotspots
Mm-hmm.
and it's being arguably exploited.
Yeah.
It's trying to strike a balance
Yes.
between individual rewards
Right.
and the overall growth
Yeah.
of the network.
Oh, sure.
Of course, any change this big is going to raise some concerns.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what are people worried about?
Well, one of the big worries is that it might encourage people to game the system.
Oh, okay.
Maybe even faking their hotspot's location.
To avoid those
Yeah, to try to avoid.
crowded zones.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll dig into all those concerns and maybe explore some solutions
Yeah.
in the next part of our deep dive.
That's good.
Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss it. We'll be right back.
Yeah, anytime you change the rules of the game, there are going to be folks looking for ways to bend them.
Right.
So let's talk about those concerns.
Okay.
One worry is that it might incentivize people to lie about their hotspot's location.
Oh, so a digital version of hide and seek.
Exactly.
Instead of spreading out, they try to make it look like their hotspots
Yeah.
are further apart
Yeah, to avoid being penalized.
than they really are.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a possibility, and it's definitely something
Right.
the proponents of HIP 136 are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are already mechanisms in place
Okay.
to combat this kind of behavior.
Like what?
So the Helium Network already uses something called the antenna classifier,
Okay.
which is designed to detect these suspicious hotspot placements.
So it's like a digital detective,
It is, yeah.
constantly monitoring the network.
Yep. It looks at things like signal strength and data consistency,
Uh-huh.
to flag hotspots that might be misrepresenting their location.
Gotcha. So it's like this ongoing battle of wits, with the network developers constantly working to stay one step ahead
Right.
of the folks trying to game the system.
That's the nature of any decentralized network.
Yeah, for sure.
There are always going to be people who try to take advantage.
Right.
But as the network matures,
Right.
these safeguards become more and more sophisticated.
Okay, so that's one concern.
Yeah.
What are some of the other anxieties people have about HIP 136?
So another worry is that it might actually lead to a decrease
Yeah.
in the number of hotspots on the network. Some hotspot owners, especially those in densely populated areas,
Right.
might just choose to switch off their devices.
Rather than compete.
Yeah.
So instead of spreading out and finding new locations, they just give up
Yeah.
and disconnect, which could lead to gaps in coverage.
That's a valid concern.
Right.
But proponents of HIP 136 argue that this might not be a bad thing.
Wait, how could having fewer hotspots be a good thing?
So they believe that having fewer but more strategically placed hotspots could actually lead to a stronger, more efficient network.
So it's like quality over quantity.
Exactly.
Instead of having a huge army spread too thin, you have like a smaller, more elite force that's highly trained.
Yeah.
Okay.
So by eliminating those redundant hotspots,
Right.
the network might actually become leaner and meaner.
Gotcha. So it's a trade-off.
Yeah.
You might lose some hotspots in the short term, but the long-term result could be a more robust network.
It's about shifting the focus from simply having as many hotspots as possible to having the right hotspots in the right places.
Okay, that makes sense.
HIP 136 is prompting a fundamental shift in how we think about deploying and managing hotspots.
Right.
It's moving away from this more is always better mentality and embracing a more strategic, network-centric approach.
This reminds me of something we were talking about earlier. The goal of the Helium Network isn't just to reward individual participants.
Exactly.
It's to build a valuable, widespread wireless network that benefits everyone.
That's a really important point.
Right.
And it's at the heart of this whole debate surrounding HIP 136.
So the real challenge here is aligning individual incentives with the collective goal of building this truly robust network.
Right.
And HIP 136 is trying to tackle that head on.
It is.
It's a bold move.
It is.
But before we dive into the rationale behind this proposal,
Okay.
let's address one more potential drawback.
Let's do it.
We were just talking about some potential drawbacks of HIP 136, and there's one more we should probably address.
Okay.
Some folks have suggested that instead of this first-to-witness system, we could just split the rewards among all the hot spots in a crowded area.
Yeah, like everyone gets a piece of the pie.
Yeah, exactly. But would that actually solve the problem?
You know, it might sound fair on the surface, but splitting the rewards doesn't really address that core issue of overconcentration. In fact, it might actually make it worse.
How so?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
If you know the rewards are going to be split among everyone in an area, it might actually encourage even more people to cram their hotspots into those zones.
Oh, so you're still incentivized to stack.
Exactly.
You're just getting smaller slices.
Smaller slices, yeah. It doesn't actually incentivize spreading out
Right.
and expanding the network.
It just changes the math a little bit.
Exactly. It's like trying to fix a traffic jam by adding more lanes to the highway.
Oh, yeah.
Might provide some temporary relief,
Right.
but you're just encouraging more cars.
To use the same congested route.
Exactly.
Okay, so splitting rewards is a no-go.
Yeah, it's a Band-Aid solution.
Doesn't fix the underlying problem.
Doesn't really get to the root of it.
Okay, so let's go back to HIP 136
Okay.
and talk about the rationale behind it. Like, why are people so convinced that this is the right move for the Helium Network?
Well, it really comes down to aligning incentives with the network's goals.
Yeah.
Remember, the whole point of Helium
Yeah.
is to build this reliable, widespread wireless network.
Right, not just clusters of hotspots in a few areas.
Exactly. We want coverage where it's needed, not just where it's easiest to earn rewards.
Makes sense.
And HIP 136 is trying to shift those incentives
Right.
by rewarding hotspots that actually contribute to the network's utility.
Gotcha. So instead of rewarding people for stacking hotspots
Right.
in already saturated areas,
Yeah.
it encourages them to spread out and fill in the gaps.
Exactly. Bring those benefits of the Helium network
Right.
to a wider audience.
And this idea of spreading hotspots out isn't new, is it?
It's not new at all.
Like, wasn't that already recommended?
Yeah, hotspot owners have always been advised to space their devices at least 350 meters apart.
Right.
For optimal coverage.
So HIP 136 is basically taking that guideline and baking it into the reward system.
Exactly. It's formalizing it.
Okay.
Making it a core principle of how the network operates.
So it's about thinking beyond just individual rewards.
Right.
And thinking about the long-term health of the network.
Exactly. It's a more strategic approach to hotspot deployment.
Gotcha.
You're thinking about the whole network.
Right.
Not just your own little slice of it.
And it doesn't outright prohibit having multiple hotspots in one location, right?
It doesn't.
It just disincentivizes the kind of stacking that we've seen.
It targets the purely reward-driven stacking.
That has led to the redundant coverage.
Exactly.
So if you've got a legitimate reason for having multiple hotspots close together, you can still do that.
You can.
You just won't be getting paid multiple times for providing essentially the same coverage.
Exactly. It's about making sure the rewards are aligned with the network's actual utility.
So as a hotspot owner, this is asking you to kind of shift your thinking.
It is.
It's not just about your own rewards.
Right.
It's about contributing to a network that benefits everyone.
That's a great way to put it.
So the success of HIP 136 is going to be measured by how it impacts hotspot distribution and those reward patterns.
Will we see a more even spread of hotspots?
Right. Will the rewards be more fairly distributed?
Time will tell.
Yeah, it's a bold experiment.
It is.
And it'll be fascinating to see how it plays out.
It will.
But one thing's for sure, HIP 136 has definitely started a conversation.
Oh, absolutely. It's a hot topic.
In the Helium community.
It's forced us to confront some of the challenges of building a decentralized network.
For sure.
And to think critically about how we design systems that balance individual incentives with these collective goals.
Yeah, it's a reminder that building a truly decentralized future requires a lot of thought and open dialogue.
Absolutely.
And a willingness to experiment and adapt.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And ultimately, the success of these experiments depends on the community.
It does.
So that brings us to our final thought for you today.
Okay.
If you were a Helium hotspot owner, how would HIP 136 change your strategy? Would you relocate your hotspot? Team up with others? Explore some new earning opportunities within the Helium ecosystem?
These are all great questions.
Yeah.
Definitely worth thinking about, and we encourage you to share your thoughts with us and with the wider Helium community.
And that wraps up our deep dive into HIP 136. We hope you found this exploration insightful.
We did too.
Remember to like and subscribe for more episodes like this one.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep diving deep.